Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we are live on Friday, 11:56 a.m., September 4th. Yes, I know what's going on. I know what happened. I've experienced it just like everyone who's watching this stream and everyone in the crypto space. And we're all going to respond a little bit differently because this is not trivial. This is some serious shit that affects everybody. Affects you, affects me, affects our lives. So that's why we're here today. We're going to talk about the shit that went down. What does it mean? How do we handle it? How do we process it? How do we digest it? All of those fancy words that make us want to vomit as we realize we don't know jack shit about what's going on, including myself. Smartest boys in the room struggle to deal with this every day. Brent Johnson has had some very interesting conversations of late on Real Vision, trying to understand what the heck is going to play out. And the funny thing is, they're trying to understand it by merely trying to attempt to digest the policies of central banks and governments. That's how ridiculous the system is. We don't even know what's going to go on because these policies are so vague and antiquated and pathetic. Just pathetic. Who's in the chat? We got a lot of folks in the chat already. Nathan's in the house. I don't know about them ladies. It's possible. It's possible. Legitimate question. Charlie G. Always a pleasure. Yes, I need a good weekend. I need a break. Dave's in the house. Did you buddy just nibble? What's up? Pellets. Barry. DGB. DGB is on top. How do you like them apples? Kel's in the house. Yes. Todor. My man. All right. So today's topic, or at least the starter topic, as I like to call it nowadays. Clicks in the house, always a pleasure. I don't know about USDT, acro chart. Well, I'll get into the charts and I'll get on to how do you handle this? What does it mean for a portfolio to go up and down? And the title today is Can Aave or Link outperform Ethereum? So I like my starter titles, but generally speaking, the key word that's most important here is outperform. What is outperforming? Because everything is always outperforming something else. Is gold outperforming equities? Is gold outperforming crypto? Is equities outperforming crypto? And is crypto outperforming dollars? It's all this dynamic system of which is fucking over another asset. Which is holding on to value versus another asset. Let's get this shit into a smart contract already so we can actually maintain value without having to figure out what is outperforming something else. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world, but we actually have to gamble on how to save or protect our wealth, or we're living our lives struggling to do as best as we can for ourselves and our family, and we have no idea what the fuck to do. We're literally just saying, we think the dollar is gonna. Here, check it out. Let me pull up the main screen. So we think the dollar is going to rip higher today, so let's get out of our equities. So all of the shit that went down is because of September 1st. Is basically this. This rip right here is what's going on. And it spooked the crap clearly out of Wall Street to the point where this rip is the VIX, which is the volatility indicator on the S&P 500, which basically has caused 2 days worth of bleeding. And I don't even know whether this is normal bleeding or not. I don't know. 400, 500 points down. Is this normal? I'm pretty sure this is normal nowadays. That's what they created. That's how much liquidity they put into the system. Pellets from Italy, always a pleasure. I guess this is normal. Guess this is normal what these people created, the amount of dollars that they threw into the system. Well, look, it's backing down a little bit. Bear in mind, this is a short term. It's a 15-minute. Let's pop through the 30. 30 is still above the 200 EMA, so this is why. This is why the markets are down. But bear in mind, the 4-hour, the trend is still quite bearish. So look how that blip looks on the 4-hour chart. This stupid blip that is tanking crypto, tanking gold, tanking equities is this stupid little blip here. This dollar, this paper dollar is so powerful. This piece of garbage is so powerful what these people created. They created something that's too big to fail. And we talk about that all the time in like the stocks, equities space and everything space. And these boys created something too big to fail. This dollar, this piece of garbage paper that's antiquated, deprecated, dated, legacy, old, disturbing. It's too big to fail. So interestingly enough, what this is deflationary pressure. So when the value of the dollar goes up, it crushes everything else because people want to pile in. So in some regards, I like to say there's no bull market in fiat. The value of the dollar could be bullish relative to other assets, but you're not going to multiply your dollars. So if the value of the dollar goes up and crushes everything else, yet the purchasing power of the dollar doesn't go up, that's just fucking over everybody. So, because then how do you make more dollars? Because you need more dollars to buy the same amount of goods and services. There's this very complicated dynamic going on where the dollar is. Look at this. If this prints a new higher high, which it's not on the 4 hour, but it clearly did on the shorter time frames, and this is what had people freaking out. This is probably what had people freaking out if it got up to here, a bit of a higher high. But this is on such a short-term time frame, but that's how powerful the dollar is. Absolutely disturbing. Market's bleeding, time to buy or time to wait? Well, let's take a look at the market. Let's get that gecko on the top 10. Chainlink overtook Polkadot again. Let's take a look at Link. So Link, there's a lot of people that are shilling Link, and Link is very shillable. Shillable. Link is a systemic disruption. There's only a couple of assets like it that I put in the same category. But look, as much as people want to shill it, and people that are just getting into crypto, so many people are just getting into crypto on a daily basis. They know nothing. So they're so shillable, but you need data. And look at this data. Link is getting pinched between the 200 EMA and the 4 hour and this support line, which is basically was created here. So what does that mean? That means we don't know jack shit. We don't know whether it's bullish or bearish because there's a lot of charts that are very questionable, and this is probably the biggest disappointment. I've lost a fair amount of Bancor recently. So I kept redrawing this. It was ascending, a descending triangle for a while, and then I ended up redrawing it to a falling wedge. Then I redrew the falling wedge, and now this. This is the final straw. So I had to pull the vast majority of my. Nope, I want to draw. I had to pull the vast majority of my position. So what is this? This is a breakdown of support turned resistance. Support flipped resistance. This is the worst thing you ever want to see. So bear in mind, this is a nice support, though. This yellow. This is the support that held when the initial breakdown occurred. But bear in mind, then you don't have a damn position. So where does this leave us? This leaves us in a position of I don't know what the hell to do. So I'm de-risking. I'm de-risking into relatively a risky asset, which makes it so damn complicated. So I've de-risked into Ethereum. So we could get into Ethereum, but let's stay on Banco for 2 seconds. So where are we? We don't know where we are. We had a trend formation that's typically very bullish. It broke to the downside, which is bearish. We have a confluence, a confirmation of bearish intent of the price action by support flip resistance. But where are we? We're in it so unknown of what the hell is going to happen because we're pinched between this support region that held back here. It's a big support coming off 1,000, 800, 900% gains. So I don't know. I have no idea what I'm going to think over the next couple of days. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to protect my value. So I'm going to liquidate the vast majority of my position, which I've done already. I still have a bag of Bancor, which I'm comfortable holding because the macro narrative says this thing's going to be 100x in the next 5 to 10 years. So I got to keep that. But there's a quantity that I'm comfortable watching go to zero. It's not going to go to zero. So the question always is how far is it going to go? So what's pertinent about the course of action I took is that it allows me to sleep at night. The position size that I have allows me to not think about it too much. It's a set and forget position, much like my DigiByte position. All coins are going to be volatile. Anything besides Bitcoin and Ethereum is going to be extremely volatile. Frankly, anything besides Bitcoin and Ethereum is going to be increasingly volatile as compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. But holy hell, Bitcoin and Ethereum are inherently volatile. So what do we got? We got volatility baked into volatility, which is crazy. We got volatility all over the place. What am I missing in the chat? What's going on? Scott's in the house. What's up, brother? Yeah, pleasure. Well, what we need is smart contracts like you're in finance that does all of this for us, that does all these calculations and automatic trades and transfers and transactions, and it needs to be done for us. Captain Weber's in the house. Always a pleasure, brother. Click says by 2025, can I use dollars as toilet paper? Listen, the depreciation, devaluation of the dollar, it doesn't even matter because I don't even want to attempt to quantify the destruction of purchasing power because frankly, all you have to do is go to Chaplin Index and here's your destruction of purchasing power. If on average you're losing about 10% of the value of your dollar per year, it means if you put money in a bank, you're an idiot. Now, bear in mind that is obviously a general statement because everyone needs money in a bank to pay for things because every schmuck out there that owns a business and every idiot that operates the financials of a corporation says, we're going to accept dollars. So the whole system is built on the fact that every dumbass out there still accepts dollars as the prevailing currency of choice. So the system is self-perpetuating. So this cycle of you have to have dollars because everyone accepts dollars, yet the value of the dollar is being destroyed in real time right before your eyes. Do you understand? This is what's so important for you to everyone to realize. What you're seeing on the screen right here is equivalent to going to your bank website and watching the numbers in your bank account constantly go down. Do you understand that? That number in your bank account is an illusion. That you think you have the same amount when you log in an hour or in a day. No, it's less because you don't give a crap about the number of dollars you have. What you care about is how much you can purchase with those dollars, the purchasing power. So it's a lie um, what the banks show you. The banks show you a dollar value. What you want is a purchasing power display value. And if you saw that value, that number is constantly going down. So when you hold dollars, you're the bag holder of. Nobody wants to be caught holding the bag of dollars. You want to hot potato it around so you lose at least and hopefully gain value over the course of choices. So what a complicated thing. This picture here saying you're an idiot if you hold dollars in a bank account, yet you're forced to hold dollars because every stupid business owner out there accepts dollars instead of other assets that actually retain purchasing power or grow purchasing power over time. Now, it's complicated, and that's why crypto is so disruptive and meaningful because it's awkward if you go into a pharmacy or a grocery store and you want to pay with a gold coin because how do you validate the authenticity of that gold coin? If you want to validate the authenticity of a piece of fiat paper, there's a variety of technological implementations that the printing press has integrated over, the last couple of decades to help validate the authenticity of a fiat piece of paper. Those little magic markers, those little bands they got in them. You burn them and they turn blue or green. I don't know. No, you go into a supermarket and we got to test this bill. 1 second, please, and they burn $100 bill. And oh yeah, we kind of needed that anyway. So point being, Crypto, you can actually validate the authenticity of a payment instantaneously. Is it an authentic transaction? Is the value being provided as payment real? There's no question about it. In fact, you are able to 100% validate the authenticity of a payment using cryptocurrency, which you cannot do. You cannot have a 100% guaranteed authentic fiat piece of paper. There's no guarantee that there's no novel um, uh, fake bill in your hand. There's no guarantee that 100% of the gold in a gold coin being used as payment, which is not going to be used as payment. But the point being, there's no 100% guarantee that that gold coin is 100% gold unless you fricking melt it down. So that's not even practical, but there is a way to guarantee 100% of your crypto payment is authentic. So, here's your macro narrative for you that crypto is inevitably to disrupt the pathetically deprecated legacy financial system and the fiat pieces of paper that are still in circulation that having their purchasing power destroyed in real time. I'm going to close this page because it makes me sick. Stop looking at your bank account thinking that the number's not going down. The number in your bank account goes down every second of every day. Goes straight down. Bing, bada, boom. All right, Click, you started that one. That monologue. Bought some the south of the dip. Good, Paul. Good. Storage and Iris are pumping again. I like my Iris. What's so annoying about I'll get into it in a minute. An important thing to understand is that traditional investment tools are not as effective at determining crypto value. But that's the thing, and that's what I like to talk about. I think they're analogous. I think there are strong fundamental narratives that can be told, stories that can be told about these crypto assets that are very comparable to the way equities are evaluated. The only difference is we're doing a different type of evaluation. Instead of a financial evaluation, the health of a company, the P&E values, or their projected earnings, or and so on and so forth, the health of the company, the board, their dividends, and what kind of assets, where are the assets of a company with the geographical diversity, where they're manufacturing, where they're selling. Instead of those types of narratives, we have software. How many developers? What's their GitHub activity? What target markets are there for disruption? Or what kind of network effect does the system have? How many people are using the product? How much money is circulating the system? What kind of velocity? The interesting thing is with crypto, we have literally financial system properties. We're actually evaluating these projects as we would a currency. Well, what is the max supply? What is the inflation rate? Is it deflationary? Now, so there's very sophisticated narratives that we're building on cryptocurrencies that are not even remotely applicable to equities, but they are just as sophisticated and meaningful, and there's value associated with these narratives. Just as we apply a valuation to our equities based on these very sophisticated narratives, we could do the same exact thing to crypto. And in many regards, they're relative valuations. We know what Bitcoin is valued at, so we're able to take the properties of Bitcoin and apply them to another asset, comparing the relative functionality to construct a perceived possible valuation. So that's what I like to argue. People say there's no fundamentals in crypto. They have no idea what they're talking about. Maybe they're not engineers. Maybe they're not critical thinkers. Maybe they have no idea what they're doing as an investor. But I argue firmly, repeatedly, and confidently that we have very sophisticated fundamental narratives to discuss about cryptocurrencies that are real. It's not fantasy land. I'm going to buy this sushi token and hot dog crypto. No, this real deal stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I'm messing around here. I'm playing around with my hard earned money. I'm going to do good for me and my family. Shit. Newcomer to your chat, D. Quinn in the house. Always a pleasure. Long-winded question. I have about 20%, 25% of my portfolio in Celsius earning interest, so it's a good deal. I'm loving BlockFi, Celsius, and the decentralized protocols. We'll go from there. I'm thinking about using a bunch of it as collateral, take out maybe a $10,000 loan to finish out my 30. You might as well take it out of Celsius and put it into MakerDAO. And you're going to have to take on a bit of responsibility because you're going to have to manage your collateralized debt position to make sure you don't get liquidated. So I would keep a CDP around 300% collateralization. Um, and that's what more or less this does. So this is exactly what I'm talking about, the smart contracts, Scott, that do shit for us. So this basically what this does. And you see this interest? This interest is generated because of the curve that's liquidated. And this basically is a leveraged Ethereum position that generates returns. And the returns are in the form of Ethereum. Fascinating, huh? So this is an automated way of doing exactly what you're talking about, taking a leveraged debt position on the MakerDAO, maintaining the collateralization to prevent liquidation, and also generating revenue by liquidating incentives. And that's what it is. There you go, bing bada boom. So I would do it manually rather than relying on a project that's in beta. So I love this tech, and frankly, what is Yearn? What is it? What's the ticker? Here, YFI. It's worth a fortune. Was it 32, 28? What is it today? $25,000. So that's why, because it's not even a bill. So if this thing's stable over the next couple of years, no reason this can't be a couple of bill. And that's the relative valuations. A couple of years ago it would be another story, but nowadays, there's no reason you can't get up to a couple of bill. 4, 3, 2, 1. Where's here? What happened? Where's Aave? Aave's at 7. Aave got up to a bill for a bit, but Yearn's there at number 27. Fascinating times. This top 10 is positioned is inevitable to be disrupted again. The fundamentals are programming code. Yeah, there's real deal fundamentals, Jack. That's the bottom line. Nathan says, will all assets dump? Yeah, everything's dumping. Even gold's dumping. If I pulled up my Fidelity, which have here, but I don't want to get too personal. But gold is dumping as well. Do I have gold? Gold. Here. I have the gold chart. Gold's dumping. Everything's dumping. Because this piece of paper garbage stuff with this little blip right here is destroying the markets. That little stupid little blip there. Ridiculous. But the problem with equities is that people are so scared. It's so inflated to a point where it's like, oh, any little thing is going to send everyone off a cliff. And then you got the VIX there. And this is basically what you're seeing in the stock market today. Anyway. Charlie says, would love to get your crypto campfire podcast. Well, yeah, I'm happy to talk about any time. I'm happy to talk with anyone, anytime about anything. I like talking. You let me know. I'm happy to talk. Doesn't matter who it's with. It's just all good. My wife says I like to hear myself talk, and I think she's right. So the last drop in the crypto market was basically smart investors taking profits, and everything is all about protecting gains. So smart investors sell the earliest, not necessarily the smartest intellectually, but the smartest investor, as they would say, is the one who sold the earliest to protect the most gains. Igor, you missed a lot. I'm always verbal cruising. Woo! It would take me days to liquidate all assets. Well, bear in mind, Nathan, that's because a lot of people are probably baked into derivatives, these Ethereum derivatives, where you got a liquidity token in a Uniswap that's earning interest on, like in sushi, because look, these are and then those are earning interest. I don't know. So these derivatives, these incentivized derivatives, these games, like you got uh, curve liquidity pool tokens that are earning interest or incentives from synthetics. So, and then it's just annoying. And frankly, it's expensive because I mean, I've seen the beginning of the couple months ago, gas was 30. It was 30. This is crazy. You know how much this costs? You'll go on 1 inch exchange and you'll see $500 transaction fees. I go on Uniswap and I'm running around with $40 transaction fees. Those things were $1. Ridiculous. Got a nice bag of Ren, Quick says. Woo! Let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of these charts. Let's have some fun. So Ren looks good. Well, it looked a little bit better about 45 minutes ago when it was above the 200 EMA on the 4 hour. Shit, come on, baby. You don't fall here. But here's your support. Let's move it up a little bit to the right about there. So there's your support. But there's probably, as Craig would say, there's probably a bunch of supports. And you can put them supports there. But this is a bigger support because look how much date range it has, where it was above it, whereas these are, start going at these supports, they're, there's much less to them. But then again, let's see where the EMAs are. I like to go off EMAs, particularly the 200. To me, that's the most valuable. Well, bear in mind, look at the Stoke. We're quite oversold, and it's still very bullish. But there's little support, and that's the fear. When there's volatility, it's the same thing with what happened with equities. It was so overbought that if there's any volatility, it rips us right down to support, where people are going to buy when they think they're going to get a deal. And that's where these EMAs come in. There's nice support there. Um, Let me reword my question. How is it that when BTC drops, everyone decides to sell alts too? Why can't BTC just drop by itself? Because the alts are priced in Bitcoin. So that means that Bitcoin's dropping, alts are decreasing in price, so the psychological effect plays out for all assets, and it's just a shit show. So what happens is alts are basically a leveraged proxy for Bitcoin because they're priced in Bitcoin. So you can have more volatility in the altcoins. So the appropriate thing, at least for me, what I'm doing right about now, with this going on and the and this going on, my logic and rationale says to deleverage, which means I'm out of almost as much altcoins as I can, and that has put me in what position? I can't liquidate my Ren. Ethereum is to be accumulated. Loopring, I have staking. I can't do anything about it. Band is staking. Polkadot staking. Acro, I have a small position and it's doing well. Frankly, it's up for the week. So I think I'm gonna hold that bad boy. I think Acro's cool. Synthetics is vesting. I can't touch it. I can't sell it if I wanted to. And I have basically nothing in Energy Web. I have like 37 of them bad boys. And then I have my old school masternodes back from 2016, 2017. So I wouldn't touch those even if I would. No, those are staying. I don't care if they get cut in half again, which they're pretty much getting cut in half again right now. I don't care. That's just stuff set and forget. Those are retirement funds if it ever happens. Iris staking. Kava staking, all the stuff on Cosmos, the Cosmos hubs, those are staking. Now, to my other Cosmos is staking. Digibyte, I wouldn't sell it no matter what. Bancor, I reduce my risk. So, uh, most of the Bancor has been liquidated and moved into Bitcoin. Albeit I actually moved cash into Ethereum last night. I don't know if that was a little premature or not. Um, It's below the 200 EMA on the 4 hour. I was hoping it would hold there. That's unfortunate. But I see somewhat of a trend line. I hope this sticks. I hope we get a trend line that sticks. So it looks like we do have a bit of support here. I'd like to see this hold. It's probably going to pull a freaking Bancor and pinch between the 200 EMA and the trend line. Look at this. Pinch between oh, that's not a 200 EMA. What's pinching? Something's pinching. There was Link that was pinching. Pinching between the 200 EMA and the trend line. Look at Len. Len bounced. Len did well. Right off the 200 EMA on the 4 hour. So all this stuff is in no man's land. That's the most important thing. You have no idea what to do when you don't have a trend formation. You're basically in gambling mode, and I have no interest in gambling. You got people on Twitter shilling the crap out of Link based on its macro narrative, which is disrupting the entire crypto space. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'll tell Link's macro narrative all day long, how it's ready to change the world, and so is Lend, and so is Ren. But of the charts, the only one that actually looks somewhat decent, where you're going to put in the least amount of risk, is, but there's still a lot of it, is pretty much Lend right now because it bounced off a 200 EMA. Otherwise, this is all so much more. This is amplified risk reward, increased volatility as compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I am deleveraged, as I said, and my deleverage, what I have achieved so far since this pandemic started, is a huge amount of inflated value. I'm still up about 300% for my overall portfolio, and and of that 300%, there's still a huge amount of risk on the table. So what have I deleveraged to? About 140% increase in the Bitcoin portfolio. Notice the green screen. I don't have ants on me. Maybe it'll go away. Maybe it won't. But 140% increase in the Bitcoin portfolio. So that is my de-risk. Now, I'm not going to move that into fiat because I think fiat is garbage. The macro narrative drives me nuts and I can't psychologically handle it. I'm not going to move it into gold because I have gold positions that I'm not interested in increasing or decreasing. I'm frankly comfortable with their size. So this comes, a lot of investing is about what you could sleep with at night, what allows you to sleep, what are you comfortable with, and it's really about just like not poetry. It's like molding clay. It's like you're crafting something, you're building something, and you're constantly reshaping it, and you're massaging it and turning it into something else. Anyway, I talk. What's going on in the stream? If you're staking Atom, it takes 3 weeks to undelegate. Yes, that is correct. So there's no point in even thinking about liquidating it. And that is a good incentive to maintain the price. And frankly, Atom looks good. I could care less as long as it stays above that green line, baby. I got it down here somewhere in red territory. So Atom's good. It's above the trend line. I don't have any Link. I'm itching for a good entry on Link because I just love the macro narrative. I mean, not Link. I'm sorry, Lend. I'm actually more bullish about the macro narrative for Lend than I am Link. I think Link is a hell of a project, but I'm just, to me, my gut says Lend is more meaningful in the big picture. But then again, you can't do a lot of the things without Link. So they're both incredibly meaningful. Like synthetic derivatives. Synthetics is dependent on an oracle. But, I don't know. I just don't know I don't know what's going to happen with the oracles. I know there's going to be competition at some point, but there is no competition currently. So to avoid speculation, we go with information that is now. What are companies and organizations and projects doing now? And right now, they're using Link. So the macro narrative for oracles involves Link. So I have this up, and it's all fluff to me right now, meaning it's all marketing and prettiness and talky. And that's what, so these boys are like, they're talking about an interoperability solution between Polkadot and Ethereum. So clearly, they have an Ethereum token. It's called Ring, RANG. It's on Uniswap. And they talk about staking, and I'm like, no, I don't give a fuck about staking. I care about how the hell you're doing your interoperability solution. And that's what sold me on Rep. As an engineer, as someone who could actually digest software and technicals, yeah, they talked about exactly how the hell it works and why it works and what does it do. And you have a Ren VM that does this, and this, and it's a decentralized custodian. Well, it's to be a decentralized custodian, but they talked about how their subnets are going to work. Subnet 0, mainnet sub 0, mainnet 0, and then mainnet. So they talked about. So the point being, none of the awesomeness of Ren is here. All these boys are doing are talking about Polkadot and Substrate, but bear in mind there is meat on the bone because there is if you go into their Twitter, you'll see more. So it's about, and frankly, they are here. So I'm missing the technical pieces that really catch my fancy. So I'm like, here's your Darwinia crap. What the hell is the relationship between the ERC20 and the native substrate assets? So it drives me freaking nuts. And there's so many of these Polkadot projects that are driving me nuts. Like if you get an Edgeware, you get a damn EDG, a native substrate asset. If you're participating in a Plasma block drop, you're going to get PLM, a native substrate asset. What the fuck is the relationship between Ring and the Polkadot? So the substrate asset, where the hell is that in the? I can't find any information about the native substrate asset. Definitely not on their website. I mean, look, what does this mean? And what is the bridge? And how do you? Where is it? Bridge.darwinia.com? I can't find anything that I'm looking for. But I did take a speculative position. Small, tiny, like a fraction of a percent. I probably small, a little bit bigger than my energy web position. You never know. Sometimes you gotta take a little bit. You gotta put your money where your mouth is, so to speak. And I did say that I do like these assets that are actually showing up on Subscan because these assets definitely, technologically, verifiably have a substrate blockchain. And that's meaningful. So, but the whole question is, how does a fucking big picture, how does it put together? Where is substrate in their big picture? And all I see is pretty pictures. So, somebody wants to ping me on Twitter. Come on, Darwinia, hook me up. Show me the Gene paper doesn't help me with what I'm looking for. This does not help me. I don't see the information that I'm looking for, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going to give them a little bit of speculative good faith. And that's what I did today. Anyway, LRC. I got a staking position back when it was 3 grand. I'm sorry. So I bought a staking position. I bought it for about 3 grand. My position is now worth 15, 13.3. Up about 10. Not bad. So Loopring's a big deal. It's an L2 solution. There's a couple of different L2 solutions. Frankly, Syscoin's an L2 solution for Ethereum. I've had a Syscoin masternode for the better part of a couple of years. I don't really look at the chart on Acro. I mean, Acro, I like Acro. I got a nice position in Acro. I mean, when I say nice, I'm talking like 2%, 1% of my entire portfolio. It's a small, small percentage. What are your thoughts on Algorand? It's not on my radar. Not interested. I'm more interested in Elrond. Elrond has caught my attention. Jack says Aave. Woo! Paul says Aave plus Acro. Woo! How about Acro plus Polkadot? Woo! Woo! I can't even do that many woos. Oh, that's a big deal. Tron. Yeah, Tron could use band all they want. So I'm cool with that news and that headline that if Tron is using band, I'm cool with that from a band perspective. I could give a crap about that from a Tron perspective. I wouldn't touch Tron if there was a staking protocol that was making 10,000%, which there is. And I don't care. I have no interest or time to interact with Tron. I have no patience for this garbage. 2017 ICOBS. Tron. Justin Sun Tron. He's basically created sushi. It's some garbage on is like let's take Ethereum and let's do something with it. I don't know, but Ethereum is hot, so what's the point? Whatever. I have no time for that. Let's take a look at notifications and see if there's any last minute things we could chat about. Yeah, Charlie likes to stream. I love it. I love talking. I love helping you guys. And guess what? It helps me too. Helps me too. So sushi, be careful. This thing has so much pressure on it. It broke down. And now there's all this pressure. Look at this resistance. I want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. You believe there's $1.5 billion locked in this garbage? Now, don't get me wrong. When I say garbage, the developer who made this is a smarty pants because I got the open Zeppelin contracts that I'm dying to play with a little bit. So he's a smarty pants what he built, and he definitely made a fortune off of it. So good for him. But as an investor, I have no interest. I want risk off, risk off, risk off. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Risk off. I want risk off, and that is exactly what every fucker on Wall Street is saying right now. Risk off. Don't want risk. Things are coming tumbling down. 410,000 deaths by January 1st. Ay, ay, ay. I myself went to on vacation a little bit. It's just it's gonna be a shit show in the next couple months between the election and this whether the virus is as bad as it's going to be. That's the thing. Everyone's like, I'll end on a political note. Yeah, I'm committing podcast suicide. I'll end on a political note. And I'll relate it to investing ideas. So everyone's like, "Oh, the virus isn't as bad as it is," or "It is. Oh, the virus is horrible, and kids shouldn't go back to school. Or they should go back to school." In the end, I hate the headlines and I hate the back and forth bullshit because in the end, all that matters is data. All that matters is if a school opened, did it have to close? And if you have 1,000 schools across the country and 400 of them opened and had to close, that's a problem. If the numbers, if the percent positive rate is going up, that's a problem. So whether a person has an opinion of whether that's good or bad is irrelevant. I don't I don't like what is going on Twitter about the anger and emotions, and I find it juvenile and shallow and trivial. And it's not about blame. It's not about whose fault it is. It's a virus, which means there's no one's fault. It's a virus. You can't blame a virus. It's a virus. It's an actual biological entity. So why are people fighting? I find humanity so shallow and juvenile quite often. We should be make and you hear here. So as a developer, if anyone's a software developer in the room, um, it's called metrics driven development. We make decisions what we do with the software based on analytics and feedback. So there should be no emotion in the process. It has nothing to do with opinion, really. If someone is clicking a button not enough, that means more attention needs to be put on the button, a call to action. If someone is, if we want someone to use another feature more, we have to make it more prominent, a higher placement on the screen so someone sees it first. So that's the way we should be handling so many things in politics, metrics, data. Yeah, there's all this opinion, and it's just so annoying. I find it's like a freaking high school teenagers and hormones. That's all I see on Twitter right now. It's so annoying. A couple of questions, and then I'll end the stream. Pellet says, "How do you think scalability solutions will play out before F 2.0?" I don't know. Chico Crypto handled a scalability video a couple of videos back very nicely, much better than I can do in the next couple minutes. Then there's a lot of scalability solutions. Charlie says, "Still working hard over here, but got my ears on everyone. Have a great weekend." Always a pleasure, Charlie. I'm always around. Cheers. Michael Angelos, the percent false positives going up. Well, that's all that matters. All that matters is a literal number. What is the data? Everything else is just opinion. And if it's going up, that's bad. If it's going down, that's good. And it's all about data. You know, people getting sick and dying isn't good. If if less people are dying, that's still not good because people are still dying, and that's someone's grandma, and that's someone's uncle. And I don't want my grandma or uncle or friend. I don't want people dying. Less people dying is still bad because people are still dying. Election year is it's so juvenile, man. It's just so like juvenile. Can't we all just get along? I know a lot of people I know a lot of, listen, there's some really controversial people on Twitter, but I really like them because of the things that we have in common. I mean, listen, I am straight up like a logical person. I am not a Democrat nor a Republican nor anything. I am data, an engineer and a scientist and all that fancy shit. There's some straight up Republicans on like Twitter that are like pro Trump, right to life, diehard gun, Second Amendment, and I like them. That's what I like them. I like them as a person because of the things that we have in common. And the whole point of intelligence is that we get to talk about the things that we don't necessarily agree on. But I see no talking anymore. I see people just angry and fighting. Um, and I don't understand that. I never did. I always like to get along with people. And that's the best, that's the best thing I could say. I don't care if someone has a different opinion than me. I still consider so many people just my friend. And I swear that would be the most interesting thing. There's a couple of folks on Twitter that so many people be like, "Whoa, you're okay with that?" I'm like, it's not necessarily the things that I disagree with them. It's the things that I have in common with them that I appreciate the most. And we all need to get along. That's the most important thing. And I'm going to end it on that. Let's get along. That we all need to make some damn money and stop fucking around. It's not politics. This is not who wins the elections. We all got to make money. We got to survive this shit. Because there's a lot of people out of work, and that's what counts. There's people out of work that are hungry, that are losing their homes, that are getting evicted, and we all got to handle our finances. It's like hipster finance. Hipster finance, Twitter personality, said he shies away from the crypto space. But what's pertinent is that at some point, hopefully, we can have a conversation about why crypto is an incredibly meaningful component of a person's portfolio. And that's what we talk about day in, day out on this show, about how to handle it, baby. Thank you all. 12:43 on a Friday. I'm a couple minutes over because we're about to hit a long weekend. I'm going to beg the wife, ask the wife if I could get a show out on Monday. Because Big Daddy needs to talk. It's important to talk. And I thank you all ever so much for listening to me every weekday, 12 noon. You all have a wonderful, safe weekend. Peace.